Week was a bad week. This week, a bit better. You know, next week might hit the 80s, 90s, and then might even get 100 in the next couple of weeks. You don't know. So it's unfortunate. Trinity can afford to wait for him to get 100, whereas Bayswater couldn't.
Okay. Rob, Casanovas, contenders or pretenders?
Contenders. Another win today. Win against Kicking and Screaming, who are struggling, but at the end of the day, it is a win. Casanovas now 2-1.
2-1, yes.
2-1. You know, I've only lost to the Perth Panthers, who are, I believe, equal top, 3-0. So, well, they're last year's premiers. Gary Ablett as captain. I think they can do well if Gary Ablett plays well the whole year.
I think Gary Ablett's very vital.
Gary's crucial.
He's carrying the team. When you start getting 130 every game, it does make a difference.
We get another Nick Rewald injury, and you'll find yourself.
Yeah,
in
then you've got to assess what you've got to do. Comes down to your vice captain otherwise, but having Ablett as captain, I mean, you're going to get 100 every week out of Ablett, regardless. Even if it's 100 or 150, it's 100.
Yeah.
You know, captains need to make hundreds.
And moving on, we've got our second special guest in tonight. We've got the head coach from Ascot Thoroughbreds, the new franchise from this year. We're going to bring in the coach, Marco Pierluigi. Thanks, Marco, for coming in.
Thanks, Marco, for coming.
Evening, gentlemen.
Just off the bat, Marco.
Just one request just before we go on. Will not answer any questions about previous seasons. Only Ascot Thoroughbreds are moving forward from today. Is that clear?
Okay, no worries.
Thank you.
How's your season going? You're under pressure already?
Yeah, pressure.
You haven't performed at all? Really, there's a lot of doubt as why you got this job, because there have been a lot of clubs out there that wouldn't give you the job. So what do you do to turn your season around?
Fair comment. First thing was to get that win on the board. Did that today. Very, very encouraging sides. Got a few injuries, as a lot of teams has, as you explained just recently. A lot of teams get injuries, but we've got a few of them. We're not exempt. So to get that win on the board is the first step forward, and hopefully we might make a few trades after next week, and then hopefully move forward from there and keep going with the wins. But regarding the position, well, you know, whatever happened in the past, but there was experience there. I believe I've got a lot to bring. A couple of mistakes made back then, not only from my side, I think from the board level as well. But you know, water under the bridge. But you learn from those mistakes and we move on, and I think got something to bring.
A lot of media heads labelling you the Terry Wallace of the competition. Would you say that's a true comment?
What do you mean by that? Explain that a bit further. What's the Terry Wallace? What's that mean?
It means basically your inconsistency to be a good coach. Get results.
Well, that's a matter of opinion. Just a matter of opinion. I believe in myself, my players. We're all a pretty good unit. We get along pretty well. You know, we're pretty open and things like that. So there's no unrest or anything like that in the club. So we think that we can go forward and get that win today, and we'll keep striving to get those wins. But that's all just a matter of opinion.
Just another point on that comment. I'm looking at the two team lists, the Perth Panthers and your side, Ascot Gallopers. They are a very similar list. Similar, where Perth Panthers are 3-0 and you're
1-2.
1-2.
Yeah.
Does your coaching come under scrutiny when you have a look at that?
I think a couple of injuries is part of that. Round one was a pretty close game to us. We only lost by, I think, 30 points, not even, and you know, a few maybe inclusions or change in lineup might have helped there. But I mean, last week we were soundly beaten, I guess. But you know, maybe a few players need to come and go, especially at the trade time. So we might be able to make it up there.
There's been a lot of pressure in the press this week on your assistant Bradley Parnham. He's a full-time West Australian jockey, but he really hasn't shown much being your assistant. Now, what is it like having a part-time assistant coach down at Ascot? Because everyone in the coaching staffs around the league are full-time employees. Having a part-time employee, does that affect the team? I mean, surely it does.
I don't think it affects the team. He's a loved guy down there at the club, and he's got a lot of experience in certain different areas in professionalism and pressure and things like that he can add to the team. So I think he's got a lot to bring. You're right. He is a lot of his time's taken up with another career, but that's all. I mean, and that sort of cancels each other out. We think, and we think he's got a lot to bring. But you know, financially, we probably couldn't afford a full-time coach at the moment, but going forward, win a few more games, a few more members up, I think we'll be all right.
the start of the season, you had the chance to sign Sean Hart. Should you have done that as your assistant?
No.
Thoughts on Sean Hart?
I don't think we need to go down that road, guys. I mean, that's just nothing. I've got no real opinion. You know, he's bounced around from a few clubs, sort of like a cork in the ocean, really. Dennis, you know, pardon the pun. But yeah, that's about it. You know, he's a bit wandering here and there, in and out. But you know, I think Bayswater in the top league have got him there somewhere, paying him for God knows what. But good luck to him. Might need him now that Michael's gone away, but what he brings to the table, I don't know.
Anything further, boys?
I just want to. We've got another discussion for later, the FL Cup, but just this is a big test for you this week.
No.
Similar list against the Panthers.
Yeah.
How do you see yourself going?
Be competitive would be good. If we get the points, that'll be great. But you know, the main aim is really the premiership. So getting up into that top league's the main aim. If we go through the cup, we go through. If we don't, good luck to those old boys. But competitive is probably the key.
All right, no worries. Thanks, Marco, for your time. Thanks for your
No
time
problem.
today, and
Thank you, gents.
we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, just moving on, just a couple more points before we close up. The results for this week. Any surprises? Anything you'd like to bring up?
Don't think so. I reckon everything went to plan.
Some teams now 0-3. Is there a lot of pressure on their heads now to get results with relegation in place? I mean, 0-3 at the start of the season with a couple of injuries. Dave Pone from the Easy Beats and Christian Catalano from Trinity and Rocks Ramblers.
Would you say the
Coach
head's on the
Rock
chopping
is doing
block?
it. He's ahead on the chopping block.
I'd say so, yes. Especially big decisions were made this week down at Trinity. It's gone against him. I believe there's a bit of crisis down at the club.
So you're saying it was a bad decision, a good decision with that trade?
I said it was a fair decision, but from the board of Trinity, on their behalf, it hasn't worked to plan. So they now need to reassess that.
0-3 is definitely not the start that you need, but I guess it's a long season with 13 games to go, so anything can happen at this stage.
13 games to go, but you need.
So 15
Wins
games,
on-
15, 18 games season, 15
You
games.
need
to go.
wins on the board.
Yeah.
They're already. I mean, I know a lot of teams have won. I think a couple of teams only won one game as well. Bayswater, KNS, but to be 0-3 with Easy Beats, Rocks Ramblers got injuries and people non-selections as well. It's hard for teams like that. They have to do some trading this week. They simply have to do some trading. Otherwise, they'll find themselves on for.
Easy Beats especially, they've been down the bottom
Yeah, the last
2 years in a
years,
row. Relegation's at stake. Is his job coming to an end fairly soon?
Well, it's fair to say they've recruited Elijah Mihalj as assistant coach, and you would have to think Dave's record is appalling, and his head probably on the block. They've probably got a crisis meeting the next couple of days. We'll talk
I mean,
about that
every
next
club
week.
gets injuries.
Yes, that's correct.
I think it's more than injuries.
Yeah, I think it is as well. You can't be last for 3 years in a row, and just be blamed on injuries. Maybe the selection of the drafting has to come to scrutiny, doesn't it?
That's right. I certainly agree with that.
Okay, that's all for today's show, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with the episode 2 on the Couch FFL.